everyone's time. So welcome everyone. Welcome to our April event of the Women's Alliance Network. We're so happy that you could join us here today to talk about health and wellness for productivity. So this event, like all of our events this year, is really designed to help you work out how to improve yourself from a personal and professional level while we're all still navigating this COVID-19 pandemic and crisis. So we hope that today's presentation by our amazing panelists will give you some tips, some tricks, and some ways to support yourself in those spaces, again, in both your personal and your professional lives. So I'm Christy Beswick. Welcome. I am the chairperson of the Women's Alliance Network at Rowan University. Again, we're so glad you could have some time to join us today. Hopefully you have a nice cup of decaf tea or coffee and a little snack with you. You're getting yourself a little comfortable and ready to engage with us in some learning and self-care. As a little bit of a selfish pitch, I am going to put here in our chat a link for you all. I am also, in addition to my regular duties at Rowan University, the co-site lead of the Rowan Medicine Vaccination Center. And I'm really, really happy to announce that as of Monday, according to the state of New Jersey, our site opened for all adults 18 and over, as we are a Moderna site. So we have appointment availability. We actually, if you go on our website right now, which I will share, but just for those of you who are peeking, it's rowanmedicine.com/vaccine. We have over 300 appointments available for next week right now. So if you have friends or family members or colleagues or relatives or cousins who have been waiting, now's the time. It's really easy to access. It's very quick. And it's very convenient. So I would just encourage you to encourage your networks to help us with our goal in supporting the state, keeping us all well and getting shots in arms. So it's a little bit of a selfish plug. But getting back to today's event, I'm so excited for our presentation today. We have a really wonderful panel of women. So first of all, thank you, ladies, for volunteering your time to come and present to us today. So you'll be hearing from each presenter that has a different take, right, about wellness, productivity, and how you can enhance that in your life. So first we'll be hearing from Dr. Charise Breeden-Balaam, and she's going to be talking about the importance of mental wellness as part of your overall personal and professional wellness. Then we're going to be hearing from Laurie Dwyer. She's our senior academic advisor and Department of Health and Exercise Science. Laurie's going to talk about the importance of movement for overall well-being. Like how do you need to get your body moving to make sure that you're overall well and overall healthy. And then we're going to hear from Melissa Eaton, MA, RDN, registered dietitian nutritionist. Melissa's going to talk to us about the importance of food planning, give you some tips about time-saving ways that you can plan your meals, and food swaps, right? Ways that you can kind of swap out a quote-unquote unhealthy food for maybe a more healthy version for your overall wellness and nutrition. So I'm very excited to hear from all of our fantastic speakers today. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Charise.
Good morning. Thank you so very much. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Dr. Charise Breeden-Balaam, and I am a licensed social worker. I am an adjunct at Rowan University as well. So I just want to thank everyone for coming and participating in the workshop. And I truly believe and hope that the information that I share with you today will keep you mentally healthy. We can go to the next slide, please. So I just wanted to tackle this topic in the various ways that you can see on this slide, and I will elaborate on each of these topics throughout my presentation. Next slide, please. So the first thing is taking care of yourself. What does that really truly mean? So what I tried to do was just give some tips on how you can do that. As you can see, I put read a book, take a bath, drink plenty of water. And I'm so glad that this panel is so diverse so that you can get a little bit of nuggets from everyone that will make sure that you are healthy all the way around. But these are just some topics that that I created for the presentation. Next slide, please. So physical activity and exercise, we keep hearing the COVID 10 pounds or whatever they're speaking about, but this is now that the weather is changing, so truly it's important to utilize and get some physical exercise. One of the tips I put there was for us to set an alarm on our phones because we're Zooming, we're sitting in our chairs at home, in our offices, and not moving around. So put a timer on your phone that allows you to just get up, walk around for 5 or 10 minutes to just break up the monotony, but also kind of remove your mind from all of our Zoom calls that we are on throughout the entire day. Next slide, please. Staying connected to our family and friends. I know this is very difficult, especially in this time, but as Christine mentioned, put in her shameless plug for the vaccine. Hopefully, we are communicating that to our family and friends so that they can be vaccinated and that we can start to have more physical contacts with them. But I did put down a schedule a drive-by, which I think is really cute. Everyone can get in the car, blow your horn when you get to your, your parents' home or your auntie's home. Maybe put some balloons on their porch or door. Just something, again, to take our minds off of all of the things that are taking place right now. Next slide, please. I know this is very difficult, reducing our stress and our anxiety, but we have to. We definitely have to. So one of the things I put here was bullet 2. It says use focused meditation and relaxation. Turn off your digital devices and media coverage for at least 10 minutes. Apple has a way of tracking your time on social media. So check that out sometimes and you'll see how much time you really spend, checking Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and all of the other social media outlets that we have. And sometimes those things bring about even more stress to us. Next slide, please. We can only control what we can control. Okay. We can't make the world open back up to how we want it again. And I think sometimes we are too cruel to ourselves. So we have to be kinder. We have to love on ourselves. So one of the things I put here, it says provide service to others. Help them by running to the grocery store. Sometimes when you're helping someone else, that truly takes your mind off of what is happening right now. And it does shift you into a more happier space. You can go ahead. Thank you. Lastly, ask for help. Being strong is asking for assistance. We are not meant to carry all of these things with us all the time. So these are just some places that people can reach out to get assistance. And I'll definitely put this information in the chat, and share it with share it with other people, utilize it for yourself, just some tools to keep in your toolbox so that, again, as we're moving along in this space that we have been in now for well over a year, we definitely want to maintain our mental wellness. Next slide, please. And this was just just a quote that I wrote about, being mentally healthy. And what I have here, mental health is a key part of your overall health. Studies have shown that stress, anxiety, and depression can impact your health. If stress and anxiety are interfering with your daily life, reach out to a mental health professional. A trained professional can help you navigate your feelings and help you find effective ways to managing your stress. And that is so, so true. Please and please, again, don't allow the woes of the world to cause you to become mentally unhealthy. There are a plethora of resources that are available so that you can reach out to provide you with assistance. We will not be in this space forever, even though it seems like it. But we're definitely moving along. We're not moving along as fast of a pace as some would like, but there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. So that Next slide. I think that ends. Yes. So that ends my part. That is my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me if you would like additional resources to share with utilize for yourself or share with your families. Because again, your mental wellness is very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charise. That's just really wonderful information. I will say, totally guilty of being on my phone too much. And something that I've recently started doing is we have an app called the Circle app that we use for my daughter, because my daughter is 14, and as many 14-year-olds, right, she is like hooked to that cell phone. So the really wonderful thing I love about the Circle app is like you can set time limits for it. And so I made a bargain for her. I said, okay, you do it for your phone and mommy and daddy are going to do it for ours, right? So it's a wonderful way too for me to like get that time out for myself, right? Make sure that I schedule that time to disengage, to give myself space to just be and not be so attached, which is lovely. I love those tips. Wonderful. So next we're going to hear from Laurie Dwyer about health and wellness. Laurie. You should be good now, Laurie. You want to?
Am I good now? Can you hear me?
You are good. We can hear you. Yes.
I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you.
I'm used to Zoom. Okay, so, well, good afternoon all, and thank you as well for having me. My name is Laurie Dwyer. Currently, I do serve as Senior Academic Advisor for the Health and Exercise Science Department. But previously, I did work for Campus Recreation, so this is a topic that's very dear to my heart. So when I was asked to present on health and wellness for productivity, and I was asked to speak for 10 minutes. There's a few people on this call that probably know me. That's challenging to do. So I have kind of summed up some of my own personal experiences over the decades of what we define this term wellness as. When Christina had asked me to send some descriptions, I was like, okay, we all know we should exercise and eat healthy. Is that truly wellness? What is that magic behind a lifetime of wellness? How do we create that wellness? And I definitely have some movement things in here, but I do have also some other in totality of wellness. So I started my first slide about wellness through the decades as I was kind of like reminiscing about, not just my own experiences, but the experiences I've had with so many incredible people in regards to whether I was training them, they took my group fitness classes, they mentored me in other aspects of wellness that I was, certainly not practicing in my life. And some of you might be able to, relate to some of these, but like back in the 70s, watched my dad, work out, and it was all about bodybuilding and exercise. And that was the definition of wellness, just exercise, go out and, lift heavy weights and run 1,000,000 miles and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, that's wellness. That's what I should be doing. And then in the 80s, it was like cardiovascular, we wore our headbands and our leg warmers, and we did, aerobics and high-low impact and all that kind of fun stuff. It was fun. We danced, so that was wellness, back in the 80s. So as long as you did your cardiovascular exercise, that was wellness. And then in the 90s, finally, nutrition kind of came in, but it was like, eat some tuna out of a can and don't eat carbs and don't eat fat because that's the bad stuff for you. And then fortunately, I went to school for nutrition and I learned that that was not true, but in the 90s, it was kind of like, well, just eat right. And that's wellness. And then, you have the 2000s, I kind of skipped 2010, but like the 2000s to about now. And although I am not training or teaching the way I used to, I still practice wellness and really trying to find what that means. So I found that if you look at it through the decades, it's really interesting because everything that was there should still be there, but it is accumulation of so many things, that word wellness. Unfortunately though, as much as this word wellness and exercise and nutrition has been a part of our society for so long, in America, we are still really struggling with 65%, over 65% of Americans still being considered overweight and obese. And obviously that's where some of the movement piece that I'll talk about comes in. So in my head, you know, with teaching nutrition classes at this point, and I'm listening to some of these new students presenting, and, you know, it's like, why is it? Why is America still considered so overweight, or not considered, but why are we still struggling with this epidemic in the United States? You know, we all know we should get up and move. We all know we should not eat the donut. That's not really new information, but where is that breakdown where obesity is still a challenge in America today? So when we look at that importance of wellness, this is probably nothing new information, but just kind of, you know, setting the tone. Wellness in its totality is so important. Heart disease, although obesity and overweight is still an epidemic in America, heart disease is still our #1 killer in America today. You know, I have this chart that I use in one of my classes, and it shows, you know, because all we see on the news is just all this bad news of the gun violence and all of that. And that still is a very small marginal portion of why people are dying in America. It's heart disease. And heart disease is caused by obesity. It's caused by the stress. So some of those tips that were just related to us is awesome. Heart disease is caused by anxiety. Heart disease obviously is also caused by poor nutritional habits, continued poor nutritional habits, not just, you know, enjoying a donut on a Sunday morning because you ran by the Pittman Bakery that I don't think is no longer there, and you never get to go. So it's like a treat, but continuous poor nutritional habits and continuous lack of physical activity. So when we think about wellness for ourselves, the one thing that I try and help people understand is wellness is from the inside to the out. And I really push that towards the younger generation when I'm teaching them, because so often wellness is looked from the outside. Wellness is looked at that aesthetic thing. How do I look? Do I fit in my jeans okay? Am I ready for this wedding that I'm going to go to? It's such an outward motion, you know, and it shouldn't be. It should start from within. So to me, that's why you know, wellness is so important. So what does this word really mean? Okay. And now we have this new profession. We actually have wellness and health coaches, which is awesome. Okay. But I kind of, you know, in our degree paths, we now have all these wonderful degrees, public health, all that kind of stuff. And so we're looking at the Global Wellness Institute, and what are they defining wellness as? That's kind of our go-to organization at this point. And I love what they say, because it's the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health. So holistic is a whole nother word that is out there, you know, but I love that it says an active pursuit. Okay, so this statement brings 2 important points that I want you to think about. Wellness it's not passive, it's not static. Okay, we don't get there and we stay there. Okay, think about yourselves, think about your journey from the time you started maybe thinking about this wellness term or whatever term you want to think of. It's an active pursuit. Okay, I personally could be a great example. You know, I was that person. It was like, you know, 2 hours on the Stairmaster because that's what I was supposed to do, and, you know, only eat this during this time. You know, you did all those things. Marketing, you feel that you know, you fall into those marketing things. You want to look at it as your own active pursuit. Okay, and your active pursuit that's associated with your own intentions, your own choices, and your own actions. Okay, to reach that optimal state of health and well-being, because health and well-being is different to every single person. Just because I might go for a run, someone else's choice of activity is to go for a walk, or to go for a hike, or to, you know, go swimming, or, you know, just all the different activities we can do. So it's your own individual active pursuit. So I love those 2 words together, because truthfully, we'll probably never be at a static point of wellness. You're always going to want to probably improve something, whether that's, you know, you can look at your wellness wheel, you know, now I want to work on my financial wellness. I didn't think about that 20 years ago, you know. And the second point, that wellness is linked to a holistic health. So it does extend beyond the physical health. Obviously, I'm going to talk about some movement and stuff, but it does incorporate all of those dimensions that work in harmony. And every state of wellness will never be at 100%. That's a very unrealistic thing to expect of yourself. Okay. So the magic, there's still no pill. Okay. I don't know if there ever will be. There won't be. Okay. Again, it's an individual pursuit. I just kind of mentioned that. We have self-responsibility. So if I were to pull out my my training days and, you know, when I would do nutritional education, when you go to make a choice, think to yourself, why am I making that choice? And I know Melissa's going to share some awesome information about food choices, but it's like, for me, it was like, okay, I reached for candy. Well, why am I reaching for candy? Because I need sweet. Okay. And I still eat chocolate, don't get me wrong. However, can I have some strawberries with a little bit of Cool Whip to satisfy that? You know, why am I making this choice? Okay. You know, and even the bad choices, you know, why can't I, you know, get up and start moving? What is holding me back? And, you know, that's a whole psychological end as well, and one that I'm not an expert in. But it is kind of that constant fighting battle of the choices. So it is your choice. Okay. I tell my kids that all the time, you know, it's your choice. Okay. It's going to be a good or a bad. But obviously our choices will be, you know, influenced. It's going to be influenced by, you know, obviously with COVID, our choices to be physically active and to, you know, sustain mental wellness were challenged over this last year. Absolutely. Our choices, you know, were totally dictated by this, you know, this thing that we've been a part of. But fortunately, hopefully we're continuing to move forward, and we now have to go back to, you know, making better choices, or at least going back to what makes us feel good. Wellness is often confused with terms such as health, well-being, happiness. Someone could look happy. Are they well? Okay. So there are common elements. Obviously, you want good health, you know, you want happiness and all that. But again, wellness is that active pursuit for your own individual goal and understanding of what that means to you. Okay. I know that I'm probably going over my time, so let me keep going here. So I also, you know, through some recent reading and, you know, research and stuff, as I continue to try to keep myself in this loop of fitness and wellness and all this, came across the wellness continuum. You know, one way to understand wellness is to consider health as a continual state. Okay, and I kind of mentioned that before. So we can't always just think that we're ever going to get to this state of wellness. All right. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Work at it on a continual basis. Okay. And always think about where you came from and where you are. I started to do these classes. I joined a gym for like the first time ever in my whole life. And I did it as a way to get out of the house a little bit, but also to satisfy my craving. I love being in a group fitness setting and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, there's this woman who comes to class. She's at the 5 a.m. with me every morning. And she's so inspiring because for her, you know, she's already, since we started November 30th, and she's lost a little over 60 pounds. But she's making these little changes, and not every day, but like every other week or something, she comes in, she's like, guess what? I didn't drink a soda yesterday. Like, it was like she went from so many sodas. So I feel like sometimes I'm her therapist, although I have no credentials to be a therapist, but she inspires me as well. So you have to remember that, where did you come from and where are you now? Is that a better wellness state for you? And if it's not, then you change it. Okay. So the next bullet, it talks about, on one end, patients with poor health engage the medical paradigm. So this is kind of where I'm getting. Actually, let me go to the next slide real quick. I can go back to this in a second. So really, this paradigm, this chart, I really like this, because it really talks about how wellness is about this health and wellness continuum. We want to actually move away from the medical paradigm, and we want to be in the wellness paradigm. Okay. So when we don't feel well, we go to the doctor so we can feel better. Well, why not just thrive? And now that Rowan has this awesome Rowan Thrive program, I love it. That's what we want. We want to thrive. Okay. Instead of getting sick, and then treating it. And I don't mean just a common cold, but why not maintain and improve your health so that doesn't happen? Okay, maybe that common cold doesn't happen. Okay, so you're going from corrective to preventative, you're going from episodic to holistic. You're going from, a clinical responsibility of being like trapped at these doctor's offices and this testing into an individual responsibility. If you've never watched Forks Over Knives, it's a documentary. I don't want to say it's old, but it's been around for a while. Awesome documentary in my own perspective, because it really does show you people who took individual responsibility with some assistance, obviously, to move toward this wellness paradigm. Okay. All right, so how do you reach optimal wellness? I don't have the answer completely. Okay, that's going to be for you. But the first thing is, and I'll throw some movement stuff in there. But remember, it's individual, and you can start at any stage of your life. It doesn't matter. Okay. So if I focus on that movement end of it, so right now I'm in my house, obviously. And my coworkers have these too, but we have these stand-up desks that I brought home with me. So, I found myself, you know what, I am sitting. So we got these stand-up desks, we get to stand, we get to, at least be on our feet. And, as you can see, I talk with my hands a lot, so I'm moving. But you can, optimal wellness to you, it can start at any age, any stage of your life. It honestly doesn't matter, but you just have to start. You want to figure out your why. Why do you want optimal wellness? Okay. For me, this was a big eye opener when my father was diagnosed with a heart disease that was very genetic. 1 out of 2 descendants actually have this heart disease. And my sister, unfortunately, has some of the side effects from it. But all of a sudden, for someone who is very aesthetically driven, to do exercise and eat right early on, I'm not going to lie. Okay. All of a sudden that paradigm shifted. Okay. So what's your why? And think about the inside to the outside. All right. And find what that means. Start small. What's that saying, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. So you're not magically going to go from, eating and never eating crappy and never exercising to all of a sudden Monday hits and I'm going to exercise 5 days a week and I'm going to only eat, plants and vegetables and, stuff like that. It's not realistic. Okay. Maybe for a few weeks, but how can you successfully continue build on this? Wellness should be from the inside out. Come to terms that life is not 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year of perfection. Are your choices today better than 10 years ago? Are they better than 5 years ago? Are they better than 3 years ago? And are they better than yesterday? Okay. And that's how you have to look at it. Because I remember days of working at the rec center and I was, you're the fitness and wellness person. You ate a piece of pizza or you had a wing or, you had a glass of wine. And I'm like, yeah, like we have to remember, like, again, what is your why? What does your optimal wellness plan look like? Okay. And how do you get there? So unfortunately, there is no magic pill. But I can tell you that movement will help. And I have this cute little video to end, and then I will be silent. But again, it can happen at any age, any state of life. So this is my little, I'm hoping that it pulls up. Of course it's not, it will. Okay. There's no volume. Just watch. So I won't show you the whole thing. I'll go back to my other, because I know I have a time limit. But that, when I saw, it was right on Facebook, but when I saw that, like, it's any age, it doesn't matter. Okay. So get off your couch, and it's going to be beautiful today. What a perfect day to have this seminar. Go for a walk, go for a jog, do whatever. Okay. And just get outside. So thank you so much for letting me share some information with you.
Thank you, Laurie. What really struck home for me when you were speaking was the idea that wellness is individual, right? It's about what we need for us. And, you know, I always kind of try to think about wellness as almost like, what do I need right now? What do I need right now in this moment where I am to make me well? And again, like you said, wellness is not just the physical, right? It's the mental, spiritual, emotional. It's a component. It's this whole sort of picture of who we are. And it is an active choice, right? It's moving from a place of I have no control to I have control. So, you know, I always say, like, hey, you know, if wellness for you right now is eating that scoop of ice cream, then eat that scoop of ice cream, right? That's it. Totally do it. But if wellness for you is, you, like you said, it's gorgeous outside. I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to get my dog on a leash and I'm going to go outside for a quick 5-10 minute walk. That's also wellness, right? It's about finding what fits you for that moment and making those choices over and over and over again. It's sort of this paradigm of like self-care, right? Making sure that you're filling your own cup, you're putting your own oxygen mask on first. So I love that. I love that approach. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So last but not least, Melissa Eaton, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. I'm just going to pull open my PowerPoint. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, awesome. Thank you all so much for having me. My name is Melissa Eaton. I'm a dietitian here at Rowan as the campus dietitian with Gourmet Dining. I'm really excited to be a part of the panel today and share some tips and tricks with you to hopefully make you more confident about your meal planning and basically just planning your grocery shopping and your meals out for the whole week. Before we get to that, though, I do want to touch on the importance of proper nutrition and how that ties into mental and overall wellness. Like Dr. Charise and Laurie already went over. It all goes hand in hand. So why is proper nutrition important? Well, eating nutrient-dense foods, or what we may categorize as healthy foods, in the right amounts gives our bodies energy to perform our daily everyday tasks. So again, to be productive, we need to make sure we're fueling our body, but also helps us maintain a healthy body weight, as well as lowering our risk for heart disease and diabetes and other concerns of that. So I can't stress it enough that, you know, planning out our meals really helps us set the week up for you. So this may not be new information to some, or something, if you are one to meal plan, you'll still get some good takeaways. This is something we do practice at home, and it makes our lives a lot easier. I can't tell you how many times when we don't plan, we're not reaching for the most nutritious options. Again, everything in moderation. So we'll have the pizza and the not so nutrient dense options. It's what we're in the mood for. And like Laurie kind of went into, it's what is going to make you happy in that moment for your overall wellness. It just can't be that continuous choices that maybe aren't providing the best nutrition. So there's a couple steps to meal planning. And I think the first one that I have highlighted is really going to help make it a lot easier. I don't want this to seem like an additional step, something that's going to stress you out. It's really not. It's supposed to make your life so much easier. So meal planning does answer that question of what's for dinner. It can help you be consistent, stay on track, and actually save you money and make you excited about your meals. So whether you do live alone, maybe you just live with your significant other, maybe you have a family and kids, get them involved. You know, it's not something that you just have to do on your own. Unless you do all the grocery shopping and want to take care of it, no problem. But I think this is also a great way to get your family and kids involved. So the first step is something you only have to do once. So if you already meal plan or haven't started it, this is what I definitely recommend doing first. You write out a list, maybe 5 to 10 chicken, turkey, beef, fish, vegetarian entrees, including what you like to pair with those proteins. And you kind of have this collection of meals that are your favorites, that are your go-tos, that you enjoy making. Along with that, you can go on Pinterest, maybe, you have some cookbooks you haven't opened in a while, go through them and again, create this list of entrees. Again, you can use your phone, you can use a Microsoft Word document if you like to handwrite things, because this is what you're going to refer to each week when you go to meal plan, because then week by week, it saves you that much more time. So again, I encourage choosing 5 to 10, say chicken, say you were to write teriyaki chicken, then I want to see brown rice and broccoli written with that. Maybe you like salmon, you could do salmon, sweet potato, and green beans. So again, kind of giving your future self some help by having this all planned out. Again, not every night needs to be complicated. We certainly do those grilled cheese, tomato soup nights. Tacos are fun and exciting. So again, things like that can also be included. So after you do have this collection completed, you're ready to go to plan your meals for the week. At home, we personally plan out dinner, but maybe that's not a meal you struggle with. Maybe it's breakfast, maybe if it's lunch, or it's a couple meals. I think dinner can be the most challenging because you're at work all day and the last thing that you want to do sometimes is figure out what to have for dinner. So say you set aside a Sunday night or even a Saturday afternoon to plan the upcoming dinners. You can think about, okay, what do I have in the house as far as groceries? Because you want to utilize things that are going to go bad. There's nothing worse than going grocery shopping and just buying to buy. I'd rather you plan out what do you already have that you can use and then figure out the shopping list after that. So then after you do pick out your meals, choosing from your previous list that you created, that's when you say, okay, what do I need to buy at the store when I go grocery shopping? Or if you have your significant other, you're sending them to the store, you can just write everything out and send them on their way. I don't know if anyone else is guilty of going to the grocery store hungry. If you're hungry and you don't have a plan of what your meals are looking like, you're probably going to purchase a lot of things that you shouldn't or that you are going to possibly regret later on. So again, just a couple tips there. Like I said, I've meal planned before doing the whole list of to-go meals, and you almost stress a little bit about, you know what, I don't know what to do this week. I feel like we keep doing the same meals week after week. So that first step, I think, is really key to making your life a little bit easier. So that's kind of a breakdown of meal planning. A next step to this that some may do is meal prepping. I don't go too much into that because that's something you can do to help save time. Just for an example, say you have rice on your meal plan 3 nights out of the week. Well, why not cook that rice in bulk on Monday night and have it to save you time for a later night? But I guess the point to that is, what is more important to you? Is it saving money and saving time? You can essentially achieve both depending on what it is, but a lot of times if you are saving time in the grocery store, so say you're buying things for convenience, you're going to end up spending a little bit more. A great example of this is like microwavable rice. I'm guilty of it. We have microwavable rice. You pop it in the micro for a minute. We don't use it all the time, but it's a really good go-to to have in those nights where you don't have a lot of time to prepare. Again, depending on your lifestyle, after work, you're taking kids to games, maybe you work somewhere else at night. Everyone's different, but here are some tips that go either way. So shop seasonally. This can help you save money. So we're getting into the warmer months. There's a lot more in season, a lot more fresh produce. So definitely encourage to try to shop things that are growing locally currently. Buy store brands. This is another really great point. Again, you may have heard this before and really wasn't sure if you should. There's nothing wrong with it. You're probably saving a couple cents or dollars. That does add up over time, but there's nothing wrong with whether it's ShopRite, Acme, Aldi. I know Trader Joe's is very big now. I do encourage looking at the store brands as an option. Coupons. Now this is interesting because it will save you money, but it takes time to coupon. So again, this may be for you, it may not be. I'm just recommending it as an option. Frozen vegetables. Again, it's great to buy fresh vegetables and have them on hand, but honestly, sometimes it's good to stock up on some frozen vegetables so you have them ready to go at any time. For example, if you had roast broccoli in the freezer, you can set your oven to 425, lay the broccoli out, maybe drizzle it with olive oil, salt, and pepper, pop it in the oven for like 20 minutes, and then you can take care of whatever else you have to prep. It's really easy to set up and just get in the oven and not worry about it. Canned vegetables, again, looking for low sodium options there. Going to save some money with that. Microwavable foods I have already mentioned. Already talked about kind of prepping some foods ahead of time. Again, if you are one that likes to food prep, you may set aside like Sunday night to organize everything into containers, maybe for lunches. Something that I actually I don't do it consistently, but I do enjoy overnight oats. So I may make that, say, 3 or 4 jars of overnight oats for breakfast the upcoming week. So that's an example of something that I do meal prep. And another thing that I think does save you time is the kitchen gadgets, the crock pots, the instant pots. Where you're just sticking it in the crock pot, you go to work for 8 hours, you come home and dinner's already ready. So that definitely is something to consider. It's, I think, really popular in winter months, but why not use it in the summer months as well? I think it is very beneficial any time of the year. And then I also want to mention some food swaps for you. So honestly, maybe you're just interested in some plant-forward options. Maybe you are vegan, maybe you have food allergies, or you are looking for some healthier alternatives. I listed some up here. Some of these are my favorite. Again, this is not all of them. I know there's a lot of different food swaps out there, but these are ones that I would challenge you to maybe give a try. The Greek yogurt is probably one of my favorites. At home, we do enjoy our sour cream, whether it's with tacos, quesadillas, different dishes that use it as a side. We have swapped it out for the Greek yogurt. Provides more protein as well as lower calories compared with the sour cream. So very similar flavor. So if that's something that doesn't bother you, I would encourage you to give it a try. We've even made a ranch dressing out of Greek yogurt. We just take the little ranch seasoning packets, mix it with the Greek yogurt, and use that on salads or sandwiches as well. For eggs, I actually have not tried flax seed eggs before, but I was informed that if you are vegan, this is a great alternative when baking. You do a tablespoon of flaxseed with 3 tablespoons of water, and you kind of whisk it together and it'll gel up nicely. Some other ones, applesauce, bananas, cheese. Substitution for that would be nutritional yeast. And a lot of recipes that may call for like a cheese garnish. Again, if you maybe are lactose intolerant or have the allergy, nutritional yeast can give you that same flavor, that same savory flavor. Avocado and hummus as a substitution for mayonnaise. I have made one of the favorite things that I've done with avocado outside of being guacamole. I've mashed it up and put it in like a chicken salad or a tuna salad before. Turned out really good. Same thing with hummus. You can use that for the same idea or as a sandwich topping. You can kind of put it on as a spread for some extra protein and nutrients there. I'm not an advocate for going low carb or eliminating carbs whatsoever, but spaghetti squash, spiralized zucchini is a pretty hot trend that I think is creative in a way to kind of have some fun with your meals. So if you are looking for a substitution for pasta, that is something I would recommend giving a try. Spaghetti squash is really simple to bake as well. You can even microwave it. You slice the spaghetti squash in half. I've roasted it. You put it on probably like 400 degrees and roast it, or you microwave it, I think like 8 minutes until you can start to scrape out the insides easily. So again, if you're a little nervous with trying those, reach out. I'd be happy to kind of guide you on how to work with those. riced cauliflower, cauliflower mash. If you haven't gone on the bandwagon, that's another pretty big trend. I will admit I have not made my own cauliflower mash, but we will buy. Green Giant has some great cauliflower mash that we do enjoy at home. Lastly, banana ice cream. Again, if you are just again to Laurie's point, talking about that continuous, not making those continuous decisions to make unhealthy choices, but maybe you are someone that really does love ice cream. Well, try this banana ice cream. You blend some frozen bananas with some milk, almond milk, soy milk maybe. You can add maybe a tablespoon or two of chocolate chips in there for some more sweetness. Really simple and easy to make, and that will satisfy that sweet tooth. I'm guilty of having one, so I've had that before and it's delicious. And then lastly, trying to substitute juices out, sparkling water, maybe adding some fresher frozen fruit to add a little bit of flavor in there. It's just recommended as well. So you guys probably have plenty of other food swaps. If you haven't tried any of these, I'd love to hear it if you do. That is all I have for you all today, but I appreciate you watching and I hope you got some tips to take home with you.
Thank you, Melissa. Super helpful. I just started doing overnight oats this week. Revelation. It's so easy. And for me, breakfast is always a struggle. Like I never, ever have time, right? I'm always trying to balance getting my daughter ready for school, making sure that my quarantine puppy is managed, and getting myself ready. And overnight oats have been a miracle in my household. So I'm very much enjoying them. They're my fun new thing.
I'm glad to hear.
We do have a few questions. Oh, Steve Garwood, I will hook you up, my friend, with an overnight oats recipe. I have a great one. So I do want to, there's a really great question, Laurie, that I'd like to give to you from Cassandra. So she asks, do you think that the scale in overweight obesity is skewed because of the archaic use of the BMI scale, which was drafted using European white males? Are there better ways to measure health other than by the BMI?
Yeah, that's an excellent point and question. And I do think that there's going to be a little bit of those numbers that are skewed because there are, some doctors' offices that are starting to do body fat, which I think is awesome because I think that measuring body fat is a much better way to determine an individual's true, weight ratio. The BMI is definitely not geared towards pregnant women, athletes. I was labeled as obese back in my day of my bodybuilding days because of my BMI, but my body fat was rather low. So so I do think that. I do think the numbers though of the epidemic are still, it's still a concerning number of individuals, but I do think that some of those numbers might be inflated a little just due to the BMI. So so hopefully as we transition into this new wave of understanding wellness and everything that's a part of it, that maybe more doctors' offices will start leaning and educating people about body fat, because that can truly also help us understand our risk of heart disease and things like that. It's not always just the BMI.
Right. That's a great point, Laurie. And I, it's interesting. I've been doing some research on this as well. I'm currently in a master's degree around wellness myself. And so what's interesting for me to think about is that, again, getting back to the point that when we think about the term wellness, right, it's more than just the BMI, right? It's more than just your weight. It's, you can have a person who measures high on the BMI, but like you said, be enormously physically active. You can be a person who is obese or has obesity who is very physically healthy. Like these are sort of paradigms in the health world. So it's all about looking at the holistic approach to wellness. I really love the way that the field is going. And I think it's a good way to sort of, like you're saying, doctors are starting to kind of rethink, right? Rethink the way that clinical medicine measures quote unquote health, right?
Yeah. And even like seeing, like when you like to get annual blood work for individuals who go to the doctors on an annual basis, just to make sure that everything is in check, because you do never know. But, you know, when I was growing up, doing an annual blood work was just not a common thing. Unfortunately, I love my doctors, and every year it's just making sure, and you can look at your own numbers. Now you have the app to check your numbers. And I think that that is also an aspect of understanding where your level of health is.
Sure. Thank you, Laurie. So I believe yes, Charise is still on here. So Charise, a question for you. Could you talk about, since we do want to incorporate some things about professional life here, what could managers or supervisors do to create environments that promote mental wellness in the workplace?
That one more time, I apologize.
Sure, no problem. What do you think managers or supervisors could do to promote cultures that support mental wellness in the workplace?
One of the things that I've seen, and it is getting, growing steam, is wellness days. So some universities are doing wellness Wednesdays, things like that. And on those days, they block out a allotment of time, maybe an hour, where employees can focus on themselves. So someone will send out maybe a link that gives them a video on some relaxation, like yoga or meditation, something that they can do at their workspace or home, right? And in that time frame, you're able to kind of disconnect and focus on yourself, and then come back to doing what you're doing your work. So I think those types of events are great, because again, it shows that the employer is concerned about the mental wellness of its employees.
Yeah, that's a great point. One of the things that I think I would say that as a manager that I think is very important, that I know a lot of people are talking about, is the idea of managers ensuring and reminding people to take their time, right? So there's this thing in America where we don't like taking vacations. We feel guilty about using our PTO. We feel guilty when we take a day off of work, which is all well and good, but not so good, right? There is a real thing about burnout. And
Yes.
there is a real thing about needing to balance your dedication to your professional self and your personal self, right? I truly believe that you cannot be a great professional if you are not a great person, right? You have to take care, again, it's about taking care of yourself as you. And so I think one thing for managers to think about is, how can we encourage our employees to take that time off, to take those lunch breaks, to take that maybe 15-minute coffee break, just to make sure that people are getting the time that they're entitled to take care of themselves in that space.
And one thing we have to remember is just like when we fly on an airplane, when the air masks come down, what do they say? You put yours on first. You have to prioritize your well-being. We really have to. And it's difficult because we feel guilty. A lot of us feel guilty by taking time off because maybe the business is slow, or maybe we've lost coworkers and we're trying to pitch in to cover for someone else. So again, you have to practice a little selfishness and work on your well-being.
For sure, absolutely. And Melissa, you touched on this before, and I love this question because this is what people think when they think of eating well, and I love it. So the person asked, are there any foods that you recommend that I stop eating completely? I know the answer, but what's your answer, Melissa?
It's a great question. There are no foods that I would recommend that you should stop eating completely. Again, this goes back to overall wellness, and you're not building a positive relationship when you cut out of food. You're almost going to cut it out and want it that much more, which is really negative to our overall health. And I think that ties into each panelist today as well. So yes, all foods in moderation are completely acceptable. Like I said, I'm guilty. I have a sweet tooth, so it's just how often are you making those choices? But again, if you aren't depriving yourself, then I think you can set yourself up for success and make sure that it's not over the top, incorporating it and essentially making what someone might consider a bad habit. So so hopefully that answers that individual's question, and you can take that advice and run with it and know that no foods are off limits.
Yes, absolutely. I would say that is super important because I think specifically American diet culture, right, teaches you don't do this, right? You need to live inside this little box, and this box is the way that you're going to get healthy. And that's not true. That's a really, it's a quick way to get yourself into some really bad habits and some toxic health habits for long-term wellness, right? And when we think about wellness, like Laurie mentioned earlier, it's not just about wellness today. It's wellness when I'm that 80-year-old lady who, by the way, if I ever get to do planks like her, I will be super happy because my personal trainer makes us do that thing where you drop it down, you swing it from side to side, and every time I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I hate this. I hate it so much, but I know it's so great for me, right? But that's our goal, right? Our goal is to create a system of wellness for ourselves that can carry us throughout our life, that we can make these small changes that can help us be a well-rounded person every single day. And it's a continuum, right? It's something that maybe we start today, maybe tomorrow we don't do so well, and that's okay. I would encourage everyone, no matter where you're at in this journey, remember to give yourself grace. Adhering to wellness is not easy, right? We don't always make the right choices. Some days we may just want to Netflix and chill and live in our pajamas and eat some Oreos. Perfectly okay. As long as that doesn't become every day. And as long as you're still making sure that you have proper water, that you're really, really hydrating yourself, that you're taking care of your sleep, that you're looking at nutrition in a holistic aspect, and that you're moving your body. These small changes will result in bigger changes long term. So I love that. Don't ban anything. Eat the ice cream. Eat the cake. Right? You've one time around this earth. Eat the cake. So thank you so much to all of our guest speakers today. This was so wonderful and informative and really positive. I love when we can provide spaces where we can talk about health and wellness in a positive aspect, right? Where we're not saying to people, you're doing something wrong. You're not. We're inviting you to say, like, hey, here are some wonderful things that we know and lessons that we've learned. And if it's useful for you, take it. If it doesn't work for you, that's also fine. Don't take it, right? Learn what works for you and incorporate that into your life. So again, the Women's Alliance Network is so glad that you could join us today. I do want to put another quick plug out there for our next event, which is coming up on May 18th. We'll share the link in the chat and you'll also get it in a follow-up email, but we're doing our last event of the year, which is going to be an amazing networking event. We're going to have a guest speaker whose name is Jan Fox, and she is a really huge networking specialist who focuses on the art of networking and also working on your personal and professional brand, right? So how do you move into a networking space and really own that space? How do you make yourself known? How do you build your relationships? And we're going to actually do some online virtual networking too. We're going to have 3 networking groups. You're going to get to go around and meet new people and practice the skills. So it's going to be very wonderful. I hope you all can join us then. And thank you again for spending so much time with us today. We hope you all continue to stay well and take care. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you again, speakers. You're wonderful.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Great to see everybody.
Thank you. Stay well, everyone.
Thank you.